Everyone, it's Kathy Champion and you're back with me at Kathy's Random Acts of Stamping. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located in the beautiful state of North Carolina, but if you have any Stampin' Up! Needs and you're not currently working with a demonstrator, I would love to have the opportunity to earn your business. On some of my recent videos, probably is about 3 or 4 weeks ago, maybe, I don't know, might have even been longer than that, I had showed this and I asked if y'all would like to see how to make it. This is a little box photo, it's like a photo box, and you pull it out, and each one of these sections has a mat that you can pull out, and you actually can put pictures on this, and you can put another piece of paper on the back, a cardstock or lined paper, and have a place for journaling. It's a great way, especially if you wanted to do photo boxes by themes. I think it would be so great to have one of these for each Christmas, and maybe even put on the side here, you know, Christmas 2018, Christmas 2019, and put some highlights of your Christmas pictures in there. I think that would just be so cute. But anyway, this is the one that I made a while back. I've had this for some time, and I was so fascinated with it. And it's not my design. I actually learned to make this from Lisa Weiss, and I sat in on one of her classes actually as a moderator and learned how to make this. So I want to bring it to y'all because I think you're going to really love it. And here's another one that I did just to show you how different they can look depending on the paper. Now the first one I showed you this was before Stampin' Up, before I got into Stampin' Up. So I don't even remember what this paper was, but this one I did use the Simply Elegant paper for the front and the back, and I used some copper paper foil for some of the leaves, and then this right here was the copper that I actually heat embossed with black, and I think those turned out really pretty. But when you open this up, it works the same way. You have a pull tab and you pull these up, and then you have these photo mats that you can put your photos on. And I did this one a little bit different because I put the photo mats with a piece of designer series paper, and I put up a little thing here where you can either write or stamp, whatever you prefer. And so this is that one, and I thought that I made this one with the fall theme and called it Gather Together, and I want to use this one for my Thanksgiving pictures this year. I've told many of you that I am going to be with my all 3 of my children, my grown children, and my grandchildren this year. So I'm super excited about that. So I got to thinking, and I wanted to pull in a pack of really pretty designer series paper for this one, and I got the hand pinned. This is such a beautiful pack of paper, and another reason why I chose it because I have an extra pack of it. So if I use up all that I have here, I can still go back and pull from my other pack. So I'm just going to pull out some scraps and lay those down. You know what? I'm not even going to pull scraps yet because what we're going to do, we're going to build our pieces, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do to cut each piece. And so I'm going to give you all of the dimensions, and we're going to cut them, and we're going to mark them like A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. So this way we will know what our pieces are as we get to them, and that'll make it much easier in the long run to put this together. So for my my box itself, I wanted to use the Misty Moonlight because I think the Misty Moonlight just pairs with this paper so well. Look at that, isn't it pretty? So we're going to go ahead and do our box itself first. And so the box, you're going to need 2 pieces of 8.5, or 1 piece of 8.5 by 11, and we're going to cut it in half at 5.5. Half of 11 is 5.5. So we're just going to slice that in half. And my blade seems to not be cutting as good as it should. I may need to change my blade. I have been doing a lot of cutting on this blade, so it may be about that time. So let's try this again. Oh, I know why, because I had it up against my computer. There we go. All right. So there's our 2 pieces, but we need to cut them down. They need to be 7, and we know this is 8.5. So I'm going to swing out my arm. Love this trimmer because we go all the way to 17.25 inches on this trimmer, which is fantastic. So I'm going to bring this over to exactly 7. And I got both pieces in here. This is a super duper, I say that and then it didn't cut. I really think oh, it did cut. I think I need to change my blade. But I'm going to show you just how simple it is. So all you got to do is just pop it in like that. It'll pop right back into place and then you're ready to go. So I'm going to cut a little piece of this just to see if it's a new blade. I'll be able to tell with the way it feels. It does feel like the new one. If it starts to drag or whatever, I'll save that one. When I dropped everything, that kind of threw me off kilter just a little bit, but that's okay. We got both of these cut, and now we need to score them. And we need to score, you know what, this is just a little ragged, so I'm going to trim that down. That's a good test to see if it's a new blade. Yep, I think that was the new blade because I don't have any fraying on that. And usually if you're going to get fraying, it's going to be when you do that. Alright, so I'm going to line this up at 1/2 inch on my right hand side of my trimmer, pull my cut blade down to the bottom, and then I've got my score blade, which is the lighter gray one, and I'm going to score. And then I'm going to flip my paper around, or my cardstock, and I'm going to line it up again on 1/2 inch. And I'm going to score that, and then either the bottom or the top, whichever you designate for the bottom, we're going to turn it and do that 1/2 inch right here as well. So this is going to be another 1/2 inch, and then this piece is done. And we're going to do the same thing to this one. We're just going to line it up at the 1/2 inch mark, give it a good score, and then turn it and score it on the bottom at 1/2 inch, and then turn it again, line it up on the 1/2 inch, and score it again. Again, making sure that you're only scoring 3 sides around. You do not need a score mark at the top of your box. You just need it on the top and the bottom. At this point, I would highly recommend that you write front on one and back on the other, and I'll tell you why. It's going to make a difference. It doesn't matter which piece because they're identical. So I'm just going to put front, and on this one I'm going to put back. That's a notation for me. This is going to be on the inside, so no one will see this. So it doesn't matter that you've got writing on it. This is going to be for your own reference, and it makes it so much simpler when you get ready to put this together, because we are going to be gluing this down over top, the score marks over top of each other, just like that. But we'll get to that in a minute. I'm going to cut all my pieces first. We need to do the pull tab, and the pull tab needs to be 1 inch by 6 inches. And let's see if I got a scrap that we can get that from, because that would be the practical thing to do. There's a bigger piece, but I think we can make that one work. And all we need to do with this is we need a piece that is cut 1 inch by 6 inches. So let's see, this is definitely 6 inches. So we're going to cut it off at this end, and I'm just going to put it over here on the right hand side. It makes it easy because I can hold my paper on this side. So I'm going to line it up right on that 1 inch mark and cut my score blade up, and then I'm just going to slice that up, and then we're going to put it in this way, line it up at 6 inches, and cut that off. Now we got 2 scores on this that we need to make. We need to score this at 1 inch and 1.5. So 1 inch is right here. So I'm going to pull that score blade down. There's 1 inch, score it, and then slide it all the way over to the end at 1.5 inches, and you're going to score again. Now, scoring all your pieces ahead of time does make this process a lot easier when you start to put this together, and I'll tell you why. you'll have your pieces ready. All you'll have to do is glue and place and put, and it just makes it so much easier. Now for our inserts, our dividers that's going to go in, like I showed you on this one, your divider pieces are going to be the permanent pieces, not your card mats that are sticking in here, but these pieces here. And for those pieces, you're going to want to cut those. You're going to need 6 of them because there's 6 dividers in here. And each divider can hold anywhere from 1 card mat to maybe even 2 or 3 card mats. You have enough of space in there for it to hold quite a bit. So, you know, don't be afraid to load this up. So what we're going to do is we're going to take, and I'm going to use this really pretty Blushing Bride. I think it will pair really good with this paper. You've got some Blushing Bride in here. We could have also used Soft Succulent, or we could have used Mint Macaron. I'm seeing some Just Jade, some Pool Party, but I chose this because I just thought it was pretty and it was soft. So we're going to cut these at 4 1/4. So I'm going to cut all of these at 4 1/4 first. So I scored 4 1/4, and I'm going to lay that up there. And we're going to need 6 of these. So 3 pieces of paper cut like this will give us what we need. So there's our second one, and then 4 1/4. And 4 1/4. So that's 2. We need 1 more. Okay, line it up, 4 1/4, and slice. And line it up again at 4 1/4, and slice. And there we go. Now what we need to do is cut these down to 6 1/2. So I'm going to open this up, and 6 1/2 is a little bit tricky, or it can be on this trimmer, but you've got 6 right here, 6 1/4, and then right here is 6 1/2. So if you look over at this line, that is going to be your 6 1/2 inch mark. So I'm just going to line these up and cut them off. Maybe we'll do 2 at a time. And this is pretty thick cardstock, so you don't want to overwhelm your trimmer, but a lot of times, you know, we can get away with cutting 2 pieces, and it, especially with me having a nice sharp blade in, I think we can get away with it. So if your trimmer needs the blade change, I probably wouldn't suggest cutting 2 pieces at one time. So there we go. And then we got this one last piece. So line it up at 6 1/2. That one looked a little bit, nope, that was good. So all of these are done. So before we go any further, let's go ahead and cut some mats to go on this. And the mats for these are going to be shorter mats. They're going to be 4 1/2 by 3. So I'm going to take a piece of this, and I'm going to line it up at 4 1/4, because you want them to be the width of your mat that we have over there. So I'm going to slice that, and then we're going to cut 2 off of the 2 of these at 3, and I'll show you where we're going to do 2. We're going to use 1 here. And then when we cut the other one at 3, we're going to turn it over, and we're going to use the other side. So that way we can use the other side of that paper, and even though we're pairing it on the pink, it's still very, very pretty. So I'm going to go through this paper and decide which colors. That's a little bit different. So let's see if we got 4 1/4 on here. Nope. We have a little less than that there, so we can't use that one. Let's see what else we have in here. Let's see if that's, nope, that one's too short too. I might have to pull some more paper out of here. Okay, there's a pretty color. And I am going to cut this off at 4 1/4. And then I'm going to turn it and bring it to 3 and cut. And see, we got that soft side on the other side that we can easily do at 3. So we got those two. So let's look and see what else. Oh, we have this beautiful purple. That would be gorgeous. And we have this, let's see. What else do we have in here that would be beautiful? Oh, this one would be pretty. Oh, that's the one I just did. Never mind. Well, you know, the other side of this is pretty. Look at that. And then that one. I think we'll do that. So let's go ahead and cut off a piece of this. I'm going to go ahead and close this up. We don't need this all the way open now. This makes our trimmer a lot more compact when we can do it like that. So 4 1/4. And again, we're going to turn it. And be mindful of how you're cutting these, because if you want your pattern to go in a certain direction, you wouldn't want to glue your flowers on upside down. So I'm usually very aware of how I'm cutting my pieces so that it's falling in the right orientation. So there's one, and then we're going to turn it over and we're going to grab that beautiful Highland Heather off of the back and cut that one at 3. Now we should have 6 of those, so let's double check and see that we do. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and 6. Okay, so instead of when I made the other ones, I didn't do this. I actually glued them down. I rounded my corners on each one and then did it. But I'm thinking, why not glue these down, and then let's make sure we got all of our papers going in the right direction. So there's 2, and then here and here, and then this one. I think this one I'm going to put on like that, or like that. And then this one, it doesn't matter because we just got the pretty little polka dots. All right, so now we can go ahead and start adhering these, and I am going to use liquid glue. And the reason I want to use liquid glue is I want to have a little bit of wiggle room to make sure that I can center these up on the edge just like I need them to be. So make sure you get your corners pretty good. And what we want to do before we corner round them is we want to make sure that that glue has dried completely. You don't want to gum up your corner rounder. So I'm just going to give that a good press and lay it up there. And then we're going to do the same thing with this one. And lay it up to the top, get it nice and squared up. Press it down. A lot of times I like to use a bone folder or something that I can press against here, and I can't find my, it's right here. I like to just kind of iron that out a little bit. It just makes it lay down better. It's not something you have to do, and it might be a little bit of an overkill on my part, but I just like to make sure that things are going to stay together. So this is going to go right about there, just like so. And wipe that glue off. If it oozes out, just wipe that off because we don't need it oozing all over everything. So I'm going to continue to put these on. I thought about cutting all this out, but sometimes it helps if you watch the entire process. And I am going to do this in probably 2 to 3 videos because this is a kind of a time-consuming project. It's not hard, and you may seem a little intimidated with it at first, but please don't be. All you have to do, I think I'm going to do this one. Yeah, let's do this one. Take your time when you're doing this. You know, replay the video if you need to. Go back and cut all your pieces. If you want to, you can put the alphabet on them to keep them straight so you know what each piece is. It's totally up to you how you want to do this, but it can make it, it's really fun. So I want y'all to have fun with this project. Don't get stressed over it. It looks a lot harder than it is. So this piece now is going to go, put the glue on the purple side, or the lavender side, or I should say the Highland Heather side. Don't you love those colors? They're so pretty. I know this is kind of soft and more of a spring type looking color for right now, but you know, that hand pinned designer series paper is just too pretty not to use. And they could look like fall flowers, couldn't they? I think so. Alright, so now that I've gotten all of these done, these are ready, we're going to prep those by doing 2 things. In order to prep these, we're going to need to use a corner chomper like this, and I'm going to use the 1/2 inch, or if you have, and the reason I'm going to use this, I don't want to, this glue might not be completely dry. I don't want to take a chance of gumming this up because I feel like this could be cleaned out easier than this because this punches down into it and I just don't want it to grab. This just kind of chomps it and your pieces go in here, and I'm sure a lot of you have the crocodile corner chomper. So on the 1/2 inch side, I'm just going to put that in there and just corner around those top corners just like that. And then I'm going to do this one. And then maybe this one. And just go through and chomp all your corners down just like this. And then once you get those all chomped down, or rounded, I guess I should say would be the proper terminology, we're going to do one more thing to these to prep them. And that's going to be add some 2-sided tape to the back side. So on the back, not the side that we put the mat on, but this side. We are going to take some tear-in tape, and I've got my tear-in tape right here. Any type of 2-sided tape that you have will work, but you want it to be about 1/4 inch. You don't need anything too wide. So I'm going to start right here at the bottom, and I want to make sure that I'm not going over the edge, but I want to stay as close to that bottom edge as I possibly can. And I like to use a little sharp block. I don't use these blocks for anything, but I do keep one small one to use for tearing my tape off. It just works really good. And yes, that was a trick that I learned from Maymay way back in the day. And I'm sure that most of y'all know who I'm talking about. I think a lot of my followers follow Maymay as well. So I'm just going to run these through and put this tear-in tape down at the bottom of each one of these and tear it off. Like I said, this is just such a fun project, and once you get this together and you see how easy they are to make, if you've got any stashes of paper that maybe has maybe it was just some paper that you really loved but you never got around to using it, what a great way to use up some cardstock and some designer series paper by making these little booklets or these little photo boxes. So super cute. And it looks like that piece right there didn't go cut really good, so we'll trim that with the scissors. That's okay. All the way to the edge, and then we'll tear that off and lay that back up there. Now these are all prepped and ready to go. The other thing that we need to do in prepping, I did say I wanted to trim that, didn't I? I might do that in a little bit. We'll worry about that after a while. The next thing that we want to do is we want to look at this. These are our front and back pieces of our box, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold in and fold out all of my score lines, and I am going to burnish them down really well, just like this. And we're going to do the same thing to the front. Just get that moving like you need it. And it might be a little difficult sometime, but you know what? Just keep working it. And what we're going to do now is we're going to put two-sided tape across this piece, and we are going to lay this piece on top of it. So what we're going to be building here is actually a box, and that bottom is going to be the 1/4 inch of your box. So I'm going to take tear and tape again, and across this front piece I'm going to run my tear and tape as close to the bottom as I can get it, just like that. And when we get back, I will show you how we're going to put this together. So I will be right back. Okay, so now to put this together, all we're going to do is lift up this backer off of our tear and tape. And to do that, we're just going to lift up on the corner of it, peel it away. And now you want to line these two pieces up, score line to score line, but don't go over it because you don't want it to impede the score line on either side. So whatever works for you in getting it lined up. For me, I just like to kind of eyeball where my score line is, sort of like this. And once I feel good about where it's at, then I'll press it down. And I have a little bit of adhesive right there, but that's not going to hurt anything. We can actually just kind of pull that away. The good thing with the tearing tape, if you have any overhang, you can usually fold it back onto itself, but if it comes out the edges like this, you might just want to maybe take your snips and snip it off. Just to get that out of the way. Okay, and now to prep this piece, you're going to cut on both of these lines up to that score line. And then we're going to wedge those out. So basically we are going to cut, and you want to make sure you get good to the right of it. So make sure you're cutting that score line completely away where this overlaps. Just like that. You have this little flap, and it's going to be thick because it's two pieces of cardstock. So then what we're going to do is we're just going to wedge this out like you would if you're making any kind of box. Take out that little wedge, and you do that on both sides. This just takes the bulk out, helps your box come together better, and if you've made any boxes in the past, then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So come up on this side and snip it, and then on this side and snip. And then we're going to snip that out and that out. And if the pieces don't come out, just, you know, just pull them out. They're just little wedges. No biggie. Alright, so we have this all prepped. We need to make our mechanism. So for the mechanism, I am going to use a piece of this Designer Series paper. And it really doesn't matter which side you use. This is going to be completely hidden in the inside of our box. So you don't have to be too concerned about this. But you do need to cut this at 4 1/4 by 7. So, and we're going to be doing a lot of scoring. Let's see if we have 7 this way. If we do, we'll use this as this. No, not quite. So we'll have to go this way. So 7. And turn it and do it at 4 and, did I say 4 1/4? Yeah. 4 1/4 by 7. So line that up at 4 1/4 and slice. Alright, for this I could do my scoring on here, but for the sake of time, and I think it's quicker if we do it on our simply scored scoreboard. So if you have a scoreboard, pull that out, and we're going to put this in on the 7-inch side. And my scoreboard comes with its own little built-in stylus, and on the stylus you have 2 ends. You have a fatter end and a skinnier end. For lightweight cardstock or Designer Series paper, I like to use the larger one. It doesn't cut into the paper as deep, and it just works much better. So we're going to score at a 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1 1/2 inches, 2 inches, and hold it good with your hand, making sure you stay up in that corner. 2 1/2 inches, 3, 3 1/2, 4, 4 1/2, 5, 5 1/2, 6, and then 6 1/2. So when you finish, you're going to have, I don't think it's going to show up on the camera, but you're going to have this piece that's scored, and all we're going to do is do an accordion fold on it. So I'm going to move my scoreboard out of our way, and I'm going to go ahead and start folding this, and all you want to do is just fold it. And fold it. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do all of my accordions and just finger fold it or finger press it, and then we can go back once we get all of these score lines broken into. Okay, so this is all done. I'm going to give it one good press. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop at this point. We have built our box. We have our mechanism ready to go in our box. We have all of our tabs, our divider pieces that are going to go into this little fanfold piece. So this is pretty much ready to put together. So when we come back in the next video, we will put this box together, get all of our pieces in, we'll make our mats and probably decorate. So if you want to make this along with me, go ahead and cut your pieces. I'll have all the dimensions for everything in this description as well as in the next one. So that way, if you want to catch up with me and make this along, as I do, you are more than welcome to print out those directions and have this so you can work along with me. I hope you've enjoyed it thus far. I think if you make one, you are going to love it as much as I do. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we will be back tomorrow with the conclusion of this cute little box photo album. Until we craft again, remember what I always say: let everything that you do and say bring glory to our Father in heaven. He is worthy. Until we craft again, bye-bye.